Hello everyone. I am on as promised. It's a little after 4:30. My apologies, and my apologies for saying I was going to be on at 3. I totally forgot. The bigger team that I am part of, we have our meetings always on the last Sunday of the month, and that was today. But I was so confused because I'd been doing so much training all weekend and so many classes that it totally slipped my mind. So I was like, oh, I can go on at 3, but alas, I could not. Okay, but here we are. So given that things kind of got a bit off track, I didn't get a chance to sort of make this in advance. So I'm really going to be winging this. And if it turns out that we're not loving it, then I'm just going to show you some stuff that I've made over the weekend and we'll go from there. So there's a bunch of these Saleabration stamp sets that I really haven't used yet. So I wanted to try to play with a couple of them, and just so you guys could really see what you can be earning right now for placing those $60 orders. So we're going to work with this corner bouquet stamp set. Okay, so this is a level 1 prize. You can earn this with $60. This is another level 1 prize, the Darling Donkeys, which I've been working with this weekend. I've got a couple of cards that I'll be posting over the next couple of days on my social media. Hello, Lynn Scott. And then this Heal Your Heart is another beautiful scripty Saleabration. So we're gonna use these two together. And I've used this one in another card you'll see me post on my social media this week. And then this is another one of these $60 stamp sets, this Approaching Perfection. So I'm going to try to really be working with those. So I don't know if people are kind of like, oh my gosh, she just keeps doing Saleabration. It's because Saleabration is only 2 months. And so we really want to just get that out and get working with it. So we are going to work with this big giant corner stamp. And what I have got here is the ombre paper, ombre paper. So this is again something you can earn with a $60 order. Now the last time I checked, it was on back order, but I think it was meant to be coming in like tomorrow, the 25th of January. They were expecting it. So it's this beautiful 6x6 sheets of paper: Bermuda Bay, Blackberry Bliss, Granny Apple Green, Rococo Rose, and Whisper White. So there's this side with the ombre, and then, well, I mean, it's all ombre, and then there's the side with the dots. So we're just going to use this side here. So I've already cut this piece of paper to be our, it's 3 3/4, I think is what I've already cut it at. 3 3/4, and then it'll be 5. Because we're going to mat it with our 4 by 5 1/4, and then we're going to put it on a card front. So everything's going to keep growing. You'll see what I mean. So my plan is that we are going to stamp this in the corner. We're going to emboss it. So we're going to heat emboss it. So we're going to stamp it and heat emboss in white. And then we're going to add some extra little colored bits by using these additional stamps that are in here. And then we're going to put a sentiment on. So it's going to be, I hope, pretty quick, but still a very pretty looking card. And like I said, if it's a total nightmare, then you'll just have to, we'll chalk that up to creative experimentation. So this is my little tub full of embossing stuff. So I have got my white powder in a Ziploc bag. So they're all different ways. I don't know what other people use. These are the stamp cases we used to get when we got wood stamps. So I've got a bunch of those. And so it's those I have filled with different embossing powders as well. But the Ziploc works well. I know some people use like Ziploc, the Gladware, any of that kind of stuff. Some of them I just still actually have in the thing, and I just pour it over top. And I'll use like, I've got a couple pie plates that are like aluminum, that you got from takeout or something. So those takeout, right now, if you're getting a lot of takeout and they come in those nice black, those would be great for storing your embossing powder in. Okay, so there's our little tip. Here's my embossing buddy. You can't buy this anymore, unfortunately. Sorry for using it when you can't get it, but that is what it is. And that's just so the powder doesn't stick anywhere we don't want it to. So we are going to stamp in Versamark, which I already have out. I am standing. My son has the iPad, so I have to stand so I can see your comments on my phone. So if I seem like I'm, you know, something's a little different than normal, it's because I'm standing. All right, so we are going to ink this up in our Versamark. So because the stamp is so big and the stamp pad is smaller, I'm actually going to take stamp pad to stamp as opposed to the other way around. That way I can be sure that we've got it all covered, which I can see that we do. All right. And then you could put this in any of the corners. I want it to be in this corner. So I'm going to put it on there. I like to apply a reasonably good amount of pressure when I know I'm going to be embossing. Hello, Drea. Did I just put my embossing powder away? No. Yes. Okay. You want to make sure you get the powder on it while the ink is still wet. So the thing I like about the Ziploc is I can do this. I was learning yesterday, if you can just sort of have it sit on there for a minute to make sure it really all gets covered. So we can see that it did. Oh, that's so pretty. So this, you know, is called corner. So hence I've put it in a corner. But if you look at some of the other, if you were to type this into Pinterest or even Google, you would see some beautiful, beautiful ideas that are not in the corner. Okay, another thing I have learned. So sometimes if you don't use the embossing buddy, because you can't buy it anymore, or if sometimes by accident, you know, you kind of get some ink on the edge of your stamp and then you get a bit of embossing powder where you know you don't want it. If you've got the take a pick tool, take this little bit with the putty and you just kind of go in and brush off any embossing powder we don't want. So I'm actually pretty good here. I don't think we actually got any we didn't want, but that is the tip. Okay, so you can give that a whirl. Okay, I'm gonna pull out the heat gun. I don't think it's actually gonna reach. It's not gonna reach all the way to where we're working because of how I have it plugged in. So you're not gonna be able to see the magic of the embossing on the camera. My apologies for that, but you're gonna hear it. So you're gonna hear the heat gun. So for any of you that are crafty, you know what happens. You heat up the powder and it changes from powder to like a beautiful, I don't really know. It kind of goes like a gel, but it's set. You'll see, I'll bring it back into the frame. My apologies. Next time when I emboss during a live, I'll make sure that I change where my gun is plugged in. Okay, there you go. So you can see how pretty that is now that we have heated it up, right? Beautiful. We could just leave it like that. Like, honestly, isn't that just gorgeous, just as is? And then we could, like, you know, stamp up here, maybe tie some ribbon, and, you know, Bob's your uncle. We're going to play around with it a little, and hopefully we're not going to regret this decision. But I saw this, somebody else do this. So they added in, because we've got just this one little flower, so you can add in some more flowers. And this will just be a way for us to bring in some more color. And then we could also, you know, stamp in some extra leaves. So just to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of interest. So I'm gonna pull out my Blackberry Bliss. That's this color that we've got here. Sorry, I was using a lot of my stamp sets last night while I was having movie night, so they're all over the place. Okay. So I actually feel like that is going to be a bit dark, but we're gonna just give it a whirl. We're gonna give it a whirl. We're gonna stamp it off in here, and I'm gonna decide if I like it or not. Okay. So we are just, you know, playing with fire, my friends. Okay. We're gonna do it mostly like this. So this is what we call, you're gonna hear lots of demos calling this now, they call this second generation. So lots of times people would say you're gonna stamp it off, or we call this second generation. So first generation, second generation, third generation. So we could do a bunch of them actually. But let's do some second generation for starters. And the other thing I'm gonna remind you about when we're using a stamp that is not clear is that we want to look. So you can see the stamped image is actually a little bit closer to this edge than it is to this one. So it's just worth noting when you're stamping with it where your image is going to show up. So I am going to, oh, I didn't stamp it off. That would have been a bit of a disaster. And you're going to see that it's going to look like this flower is behind because the ink is not going to stick to where we've embossed. Okay, so we're just going to go through here, and you can see I'm pressing a little bit too hard, and that's why we're getting that. And I'm just going to stamp a few flowers. Also, just so I don't forget, I want to give a shout out in this video to Dean if he ends up watching. So Dean is the 4, might be 5 now, year old son of one of my customers, and I guess he likes to watch the videos with his mom. And she sent me a video of him doing his own Facebook, his own little live. Oh my God. He's a natural. Dean, you're a natural. Okay, so we're just adding, you know, some extra flowers sort of here and there. I don't really kind of like how I've got them all in a row. That's not really what I wanted to do. But it's just giving us a little bit more interest. And what we can do is we can go through, I could take just like a wet paper towel, and you'll be able to get that ink off of where we've embossed. I'm not going to worry too much because we're going to put a greeting across there. But so this is just something that you could do to just kind of draw a bit of color into this. The other thing you could do is color this stamp with your marker. So I've seen a lot of that where people have colored in green and then they've gone and done all the flowers differently. I was thinking of adding some of this in here in some green, but you know, I've decided I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it like this. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not overly happy with how this is looking personally. I wish we would have left it. We could turn it over, except for this is a green card and I didn't really want to do a green card. So we're just going to make the best of this because that's how we roll. And then I wanted to put this on here, and I wanted to use some twine because the twine is back in the catalog right now. You can get the pack with white and Blushing Bride. So we're just gonna do our layer though. So I'm getting out the Blackberry Bliss. This piece I did not have cut in advance, so we're just gonna have to cut our layer. So we're gonna frame that, right, which is gonna be lovely. And so this is going to be our 4 by 5 1/4, no, our 4 by, yeah, 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut this at the 5 1/4, and then I'm going to do the 4, and then we're going to put the whole thing on white. Because then we don't have to line it. Not that that should be an issue, but. And I'm just having this out if you're wondering what I'm doing for the greeting. So we're gonna put that on there, and we are going to use our seal. So this paper is so pretty on its own. The other thing that you could do, we could have done, and I did think about it, but I already did a demo with that earlier this week, is we could have stamped this on white, in white, and then we could have sponged or used our blending brushes around it. Okay, so now I am going to stamp. I was going to stamp this and then fussy cut it, but I'm kind of thinking maybe because I want to use some twine, I'm just pulling out my rectangle framelits, and I'm just gonna see which one of these might be long enough. Okay, so it will fit in there. And we're just gonna make it a little more narrow. I think it's too big for that narrow one. It is. Is it too big for this one? Yep, it is. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how we can kind of play around with this and make it a size that we want. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this rectangle in Blackberry Bliss. I'm gonna pull out our mini. If you guys have been watching me recently, you've been watching me use the mini a lot. I am pretty excited to have it. It's great for these small things because then I can show you what I'm doing. So I've learned a tip with the mini as well. So if you notice, all of these are beveled. They all have a bit of a groove to them, all the plates. So you don't want to line them up perfectly. So we want to take this one, and I'm going to put this one a little bit offset. Then I'm going to take my paper, I'm going to take my die, and with the rectangles, we need to run them through on an angle. Otherwise, it's really hard on your machine. And then I'm going to put this one again. So see how they're all offset, okay? So this is the trick that I've learned with the mini. Then we're going to put it in, we're going to hold and feed, and then it is going to catch. And then once it catches, you're going to hold up top. All right. It's going to pop out. And now, because we don't need this to be so wide, I'm going to now feed it through again. So what you're going to see me do, we're going to line it up perfectly on the edges, but I'm going to make it narrower. So this is your trick. So I want to cut this bit off, but I want it to be stitched around. So I'm just going to put it back on. I'm going to line it up with the edges, and then I'm going to cut through again. Okay, so you're going to see me do that again. I'm going to turn my plate. So we want to always be remembering to turn our plates, move things around. I realized I put my camera so it would be lower down for you guys, and I realized that that's cutting off a bit of our field of view. So I will not do that next time. Okay, so I'm going to roll that through, and then once it catches, I'm going to switch to holding up top. All right. So now you can see it has given us just a narrower rectangle. So it's a nice and easy way to use your die to actually get the shape that you need, okay? And then look here, we've got, this is also a teeny little rectangle we could use if we wanted. We don't need that, so we're not gonna use it. But I might set it aside for later. All right, we're just gonna fold this up because that's what we can do with it. And we're gonna move it off to the side. All right, so this now is gonna fit lovely right in the middle of this. We're going to heat emboss again, because why not? It looks so pretty, right? So we're gonna pull out that powder again. We're gonna pull out the Versamark. I am going to hope that this is gonna be straight. So I'm really going to, so what I like to do when it is like this, and I'm not gonna be able to tell, I line my block up to my grid, and then I try to line up part of my font to the grid line below, and then hope that it will be straight. My shirt coordinates. Well, yes, it does, doesn't it? I feel like my shirt's a bit more of a rich raspberry, but you know, good call. It is pretty close. Okay. I am going to stamp that up in the Versamark. I noted that it's there because I can see it. I'm going to make sure that is straight. And I know that if I put my block straight, we should be good. I'm going to center it. Okay, so you're going to see what I mean here because I've got a little bit of extra, I've got the edge of the stamp. So I'm going to be able to show you that trick. Okay, so you see how we have that? We don't want that, obviously. That's not nice. So we're going to use the putty end of our Take a Pick tool and get rid of that. And then just sort of blow it off a little. And then now that part won't get embossed because otherwise that would get embossed and that would ruin our card. Okay, so that's our little tip that came in handy. Now I'm gonna have to go off again to the side because my cord's not long enough. So my apologies. I see that that's actually a little bit crooked, but that's what makes it homemade, my friends. That's what makes it homemade. Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe, oh. It's hot, people. It's hot. So you can see it changing. Powder's getting heated up. So you can also see that there was some little bits of powder around there. So that got heated up too. And I actually don't mind how that looks. I think that looks kind of neat. It's like we got little white splatters. Okay, we're gonna bring our card front back in here. So we're gonna put that on there. And we are going to use, I wanna use some twine. So this is this twine that comes with the snail. I might actually use the Blushing Bride, and I think I have just thought of an idea for us. When I use twine, I like to wrap it around twice. So I just kind of wrap it around, and then I just sort of randomly cut. And I find that sort of is generally enough for us to have a bow. And then I just had a great idea. Because I don't like how those flowers turned out, we're gonna get creative. So this is the thing, my friends. Just because we've done something and we don't love it, doesn't mean that our project is ruined. Now, when you tie something and you want to move it, bend your card, flex your card so that it won't tear, because the ribbon will tear your paper. Right? So I just needed to move that so that I could put that to the side. Okay, lovely. So we could, if we wanted, we're still gonna put it on a white. You could put it on a Blushing Bride card now that I've added that as an accent color. But we already have a white card front, so we're gonna do a white card. So I'm just gonna pull that on so you can see, lovely. Okay, now, oh, I'm excited because of this idea that I've come up with. My apologies, I'm going to put this die away because if I don't put this die away, I'm going to lose it. So I'm curious, Alex, are you on here? I have one of my customers who's joined up for my stamp camp. She's having trouble seeing my live videos. So that's another reason why I actually went live today, is that hopefully she would see this because her husband is there to kind of help her. So I'm hoping she's seeing this. So Alex, if you're on, do you want to just like say hi or say that you see this? Okay, you guys, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this cute little flower. So we have a couple of these dies. So this is the Pretty Perennial dies. And you would have seen, I had a card with this die on my page, and everyone was getting so excited about it and giving me all this credit. And then I didn't actually design the card myself, but I did make it, but it wasn't my design. Okay, so we're gonna get some Blushing Bride. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, we just need a scrap. So here's a scrap. Actually, I have a tiny narrow scrap, so let's use that. And we are going to, oh, this is perfect. I'm so excited. Okay, we're gonna pull out our die cutter again. Mini Stampin' Emboss. And I'm gonna be able to teach you yet another trick I learned. Okay, so when we are doing a die like this that's not detailed, you can cut 2 at a time, double thickness. So I am gonna cut this guy into strips. And then I am going to show you. So I'm gonna put the plate down and I'm gonna put my 1 strip, and then I'm gonna put these 2 layers over top. And then I am going to put a die and a die. Because it is not intricate, it should have no problem cutting through all of those at once. So we're gonna get 4 for the effort of 2. So I'm gonna put it through here again. I'm gonna start cranking. Once it grabs, I'm going to move my hand up top. We're gonna pull that through. And voila, we have 4 flowers. They're just stuck together, so that's why you can't tell. Okay, so I'm gonna move those off to the side. And I think 4 will be enough. We're gonna do 4 in the name of time, because I know it's Sunday and we're getting close to dinner. So I'm gonna move this off to the side and I'm gonna bring this back. Okay, so when we die cut these little guys, what sometimes happens, so some of you will notice, you get this little edge. Now, it's not showing on those 2 because they were underneath, but it's showing on the 2 that were up top. So then you take your bone folder. Sorry, I'm just trying to find mine. So I was using it yesterday, and I don't see it. So you take your bone folder and you just rub with your bone folder, and it will rub those little marks off. You could probably use a ruler. I feel like it's actually even working with my fingernail. Oh, here's my bone folder. So yeah, you just take your bone folder and it'll rub that line out for anyone who has been noticing that. Okay, then the other thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take this and this bit of our take a pick tool, and we're going to just kind of go in the center of these, and you're gonna see it just kind of gives them a nice flowery shape. And then we're gonna add them to our project. Okay, I'm gonna sit down. So if you comment now, I'm not gonna see it because I'm sitting, but if I don't sit down, I feel like I'm not going to really be able to concentrate and get this all put on the card nicely. So I'm going to adhere this to our card front so that it's flat. And then we're going to put our sentiment on. This piece is going to go on with a dimensionals. So because it's this dark color, I've really been trying to use my black dimensionals, dark paper, dark dimensionals. So I'm going to use the minis so that it'll go on either side of the twine, and I'm going to put it in each corner. And you know what? I'm going to put them here too. You totally don't have to, but I'm going to for fun. Okay. And then we're going to put this on our card front. Okay, so we're going to tuck this up underneath that bow. And we're gonna adhere that on, centering the twine underneath. I'm gonna offset a little bit like that. Okay, so it's on there like that. And then we are gonna take these 4 little flowers. You can use glue dots. You could use liquid glue. I used liquid glue when I did this yesterday, so I'm gonna use that again. So I am going to basically, because I don't love how that ended up looking, I'm gonna kind of put these guys on here to just kind of offset what happened there, because I don't love it. So you'll still sort of see them. But it won't be sort of as obvious. Okay, so we're gonna go like that. Okay, watch. And then I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue. And then I'm gonna place this over top. And then I'm gonna use this guy again. And it's gonna help the glue. And it's also gonna make that shape again. So I'm gonna do that again, a little drop of glue. I'm gonna put down this little flower, and then I'm gonna use this little stylus in. So it's going to enforce the little curvature that we have going on with the flower, as well as really have it stick to the glue. And then I'm going to, like I did in the card I did yesterday when I did this, I'm going to put a little pearl in the center of each of these flowers. And that is just going to take what is quite a simple card, really. I mean, I know we heat embossed, and so that maybe isn't super simple for everyone. Oh, yes, love it. Okay, so, you know, this is how we have made the best of what wasn't what I wanted it to look like. So now I'm gonna get the other end of my take a pick tool, and we're gonna get our pearls. Just helps us to pick up the pearl. And I'm gonna stick the pearl in the center. So we have this lovely mix of white and pink and blackberry, so Blushing Bride, this Blackberry Bliss, the white with the embossing and our greeting, and now with these little pearls. So making a really delicate card that will be perfect when I need it. So I don't know about you guys, but when you actually need a sympathy card, I feel like you often don't feel like making one, right? Because depending on how close you are to the person, you might actually be grieving yourself. So this just allows, by having a few of these on hand, it allows me to not have to create if I need one. And also often when people reach out to me saying, hey, I need a sympathy card, they need it right away. So if I have sympathy cards on hand, then we don't have to worry about that. So what do you think, you guys? So, you know, it just goes to show yet again that what I originally thought was going to look okay, I didn't love how it looked, but we covered some of it up. We added a couple of extra bits to sort of fancy it up a little. And so that was just a way that we could take this free corner bouquet stamp set and the free paper and jazz it up. So hopefully you guys, you love that. Thank you for watching. If you want any of these products, then just go ahead and place an order or let me know. I will be closing this month's host code on Friday, so I'm putting in an order. I'll be closing it, or when I close it, I also place an order. So if you want to add anything in your local, you want to get that to me so I can add it on. And yeah, have a great Sunday evening. And hopefully we don't get too much snow overnight to make for a crazy Monday morning drive to work. Thanks, everyone.